Welcome. I'm playing Minecraft today, just chilling and placing blocks while we talk. Before we begin with the stories, where are you watching from tonight? Drop it in the comments. I love seeing the mix of cities and time zones. Alright, headset on, pickaxe ready. Let's start with the story. So picture this, senior year, end of term party. My friend group had this tradition where we rotated who hosted, and this time it landed on me. I made a cozy plan, string lights in the backyard, a fire pit, marshmallows, speakers stacked on a pallet, like a DIY stage. I sent the invite link in our group chat and even made a cheesy pixel art banner because yes, I am that person. 2 days later, I noticed the RSVP list looks weird. The names are mostly randos from a different class. People I literally don't know are marking coming, while my actual friends are maybe or can't make it. I DM one of my closest friends, Mira, and she goes quiet for a second. Then she sends a screenshot of a different invite link. Same date, same time, but hosted by Jenna. Theme, farewell bash. My heart did that little elevator drop. Turns out Jenna, who I'd known since freshman year, decided my house was too far and not aesthetic and made her own party without telling me. Worse, she used the date I told everyone and messaged our mutuals in private like, let's make this one special. The invite list. Basically everyone I'd hoped to see to close out the year. I sat on my bed staring at the two links like they were two portals in the nether. One led to a backyard I'd been cleaning all week. The other opened to a studio apartment downtown where the ceilings were high and the fairy lights looked like they were installed by a brand deal. I almost texted the group chat something unhinged. I almost rage quit friendship like you rage quit a survival world after falling in lava with full diamond. Instead, I took a lap around the block. I noticed the jasmine on my neighbor's fence. A kid on a scooter shouted, "Watch this," and almost ate dirt but laughed anyway. It was hot and sticky and the air smelled like cut grass and burgers, and I decided I didn't want to end the year feeling small. If my party had 3 people, cool. If it had none, I'd roast marshmallows by myself and play a late night server with strangers. I posted a simple update. My backyard's open 7-Eleven. Bring a cup. I've got lemonade, music and a fire pit. You're invited even if we've never talked much. Come say hi. I pressed send and then tossed my phone face down. At 7, Mira showed up first, carrying a bag of chips and that look that says, I've chosen my side. We lit the fire. A neighbor peeked over the fence and asked about the music. We told them Luffy and bangers alternating, because balance is important. 2 more people came, then 5. Then a group I vaguely knew from biology walked in together like a Minecraft raid party. Someone brought a ukulele, someone else brought sparklers. The lemonade ran out, so people started drawing smiley faces on the cups. At 9, I got a text from Jenna. I'm sorry. Can I come? I stared at the screen. The party at her apartment had apparently got noise complaints early, and the building manager shut it down. Her text continued. I shouldn't have done that. Yours looks fun. There was this pit of pride in my chest that wanted to say no. It wanted to post a meme and be dramatic, but I remembered how much it sucked when I felt iced out. Yeah, I typed. Come by. Bring ice if you can, we're low. She showed up 20 minutes later, tugging a little rolling cooler like she was returning a stolen dog. People shifted, the music wobbled, and for a second the vibe was fragile. Then Mira handed her a cup and I handed her a marshmallow skewer and said, don't burn it. Around 10, with ash drifting like lazy snow and cicadas doing percussion, people started telling one last story moments from the year. Funny, messy, sweet. Jenna waited her turn and then said, I thought if I made the party, I'd be the main character. I forgot the point is being together. She said it quietly, eyes shiny in the firelight. No big speech, no begging for forgiveness, just a clear sentence. And that was enough to loosen something I didn't realize I was clenching. We sang badly. Someone played that one song everyone knows the words to, regardless of genre. The stars showed up late, but they showed. By 11, the backyard looked like a campsite for people who genuinely liked each other. Big relief energy, the sort that makes your shoulders drop an inch. When everyone left, the yard was full of plastic cups and goodbye hugs. Jenna helped coil the extension cord. She didn't make it about her. She said, thank you for letting me come. And then, I'll help clean Saturday if you want. I nodded. The power moved back to neutral. Not best friends again, not enemies, just people who learned something. Here's what I kept. You can't gatekeep a good night. You can open your door, keep your tone kind, and let the people who were meant to be there find their way. You can choose a story where you're not small. And sometimes the person who betrayed you brings ice and humility and just enough honesty to stitch a little trust back together. Okay, shake your shoulders out, sip some water. Let's glide into the next one like we're flying over a fresh chunk load, render distance set to cozy. And if you're building right now, place a torch, Light helps in games and life at night. Second story, different vibe but same comfy pace. Imagine a shared workshop garage behind a row of townhouses. 4 roommates, 1 rent, a lot of hand-me-down tools. We had a sign-out whiteboard that nobody used unless they wanted to look responsible. The rule was simple. Borrow anything, return it to the pegboard, and don't adopt gear that isn't yours. Stuff started to vanish. At first, it was the small things. Allen keys, a stud finder, the box of nails sorted by size like a candy display. I chalked it up to chaos. Then my dad's old hammer disappeared. It was a beat-up blue thing, chipped along the claw, handle wrapped with hockey tape from when I broke it installing shelves that were absolutely crooked. That hammer mattered. I asked in our group chat, "Hey, has anyone seen the blue hammer?" The replies came back fast and innocent. "Nope, not me. I'll check later." Days passed. Then another tool went missing. The yellow level that looked like a banana. We made jokes. The tool thief strikes again. But the joke tasted sour. On Saturday, I decided to reset the pegboard like a Minecraft chest after you die and recover your stuff. I traced each tool with a marker so you'd see the outline if something was gone. I added labels. I even made a silly rule sheet with emojis so nobody could claim they didn't read it. Take, use, return, smile. That afternoon I saw Liam, newest roommate, quiet, nice hair, always with a gym bag, leaving in a hurry. His bag clanked, not iron weights clank, tool clank. I didn't say anything because accusing people feels like putting TNT by a wooden house. Even if you're right, everyone gets splinters. I tried one more thing. I put a bright pink sticker on the handle of every tool. Hideous, unmissable. I even wrote tiny initials on the sticker like enchantment glint but for hammers. The next day, I walked past the community dumpster and saw a glint of pink under some cardboard. My stomach did that tilt again. I pulled out a broken tape measure and a screwdriver, both with my stickers. Both snapped like angry twigs. That night, I knocked on Liam's door. He opened it halfway. I kept my voice low. "If you're accidentally tossing tools or if they're breaking, please tell me. I'm not mad. I just need to know what's happening." He stared past me into the hallway like the answer might be floating there. "I'm not using your stuff," he said. The gym bag sat on his bed. Pink sticker shone through the mesh. I didn't flip. I said, "Okay, I'm going to add a deposit system. It's not personal." And I did. A simple QR code to a $5 deposit that gets refunded when the item returns. People rolled their eyes. Liam said, "This is childish." But the vanishing slowed. Tools came back. Order crept in like dawn. A week later, we had a community clean out. Everyone dragged their mystery junk into the driveway. There, under Liam's bicycle, inside a milk crate, I found a pile of our tools. Pink stickers everywhere. Some were broken, some fine. I took a breath and tried to decide how loud to be. Part of me wanted to perform the anger. The bigger part wanted to fix the system and not scorch the earth. Liam arrived late, saw the crate and turned pale. He muttered, "I meant to return them." He looked young in that moment, tired, embarrassed. I held up my dad's hammer and asked, "Why lie?" He swallowed. "I've been doing side jobs off the books. I didn't want you to think I was using the house to make money. The hammer broke last week on a fence post." I panicked. Inside the silence that followed, I realized something. Shame makes people do weird things, like hoard borrowed wrenches and throw away broken proof. I was still mad, but it was a different flavor. Less betrayal, more the sinking feeling when a friend reveals a mess they've been hiding. We made a deal. Liam would replace the broken items and cover a small fee into our tool kitty. The deposit system would stay. We added a simple spreadsheet with dates and notes because sometimes writing it down is all it takes to keep grown-ups honest. And we set one boundary. If tools left the property for paid gigs, that had to be said up front. For 2 months, no drama. The pegboard looked like a tidy heart monitor, steady, predictable. Then one evening, I went out back and found Liam mending the fence with a brand new hammer. Blue handle, same hockey tape. He held it out like a peace offering. "I can't replace your dad's hammer," he said, "but I can replace the function." I took it and felt the weight, the balance, the apology embedded in good metal. We're not best friends, he and I, but we're fine. The garage hums again. The scariest part wasn't the missing tools, it was that creeping feeling of being made to doubt your own memory. If you're listening to this while sorting a chest in your survival world, label it now. Future, you will thank you. Systems don't kill trust, they protect it gently, like a fence that keeps the dog from sprinting into traffic. Alright, stretch your wrists, sip your tea. The next story is softer than sand on a good Minecraft beach, but it still has stakes. Glide with me. Think about the last time you assumed someone was out to get you and it turned out they were just overwhelmed. That's not an excuse, it's a map. It tells you where to put guardrails and where to put grace. In games, you put torches to mark the path. In real life, you put labels, deposits, and simple check-ins. Do those and you'll keep your head clear and your chest calm. Okay, onward, quietly onward. New chunk, same calm little tempo. Third story, school mode. We got assigned a semester-long project in media studies. Storyboard, short film, reflective essay, the kind of thing where one person ends up doing the heavy lifting while another person discovers their passion for creative direction, which often means standing nearby and pointing vaguely. Our group was me, Ayo, Jules, and a guy named Connor who wore cool sneakers and called everything mid like it was a law of physics. At the first meeting, he talked a lot about brand and vibes and then missed the second meeting because of networking. Ayo and I built the shot list. Jules negotiated with the librarian to let us film on the mezzanine. Connor finally showed and delivered a monologue about color theory that was honestly not bad, then dipped when it was time to carry tripods. We shot the thing. It was funny in the way that high school projects are funny because half the props are inside jokes and the other half are budget substitutes. I edited late at night with headphones and pretzels, stacking cuts until the rhythm felt right. I exported a draft and posted it to our shared drive. The next day, I woke to a DM from our professor. Please see me before class. My heart decided to learn double bass without permission. I walked in to see Connor, already sitting there, hands folded. The professor asked, "Did you know Connor submitted the film to the department showcase?" He looked at us both with that patient, disappointed dad energy. I hadn't known. Apparently, the showcase submission required a single name for contact, and Connor put his. He also submitted a director's statement that read like a LinkedIn post got lost in a poetry workshop. He didn't mention any of us by name. The professor wasn't angry so much as concerned about fairness. Credit matters, he said, because it's how we carry each other forward. I could have exploded. Instead, I asked to show him our version history. We used a simple system. Each major edit got a number and a name tag like V0, 7 AO pacing, or V1. 2 Jules transitions. The drive told a story better than any speech. He read through it while Connor looked at the carpet. After a minute, the professor said, "Okay, here's what we'll do. I'll enter you as a group. If the project is selected, all 4 names will appear, and we'll have a talk about attribution next class." When we left the office, Connor tried a friendly shrug. I thought it'd be easier. My voice came out steady even though my hands were doing jazz in my pockets. Easier for who? He didn't answer. We decided not to cut him out. We did set rules. Any external submission required a group message and a yes from at least 3 people. All statements had to list everyone. Connor agreed, quiet now, sneakers suddenly just shoes. 2 weeks later, the department announced the showcase lineup. Our film made it. They printed a little program with our names, alphabetical, no roles, just together. We sat in the dark with 100 other students, and our goofy scene on the mezzanine looked good. People laughed at the right spots. Ayo elbowed me during the final beat, this tiny gesture that said, "We did that." After the screening, a grad student came over. "Who edited?" he asked. I said I did, and he nodded like he'd solved a puzzle. "Nice pacing." He turned to Ayo and Jules and complimented their work too. He looked at Connor last and said, "Nice sneakers." We laughed, not meanly, but with the relief of a joke landing lightly. After, Connor stood on the sidewalk holding a paper cup of lemonade. He said, "I'm sorry. I wanted the line on my resume and forgot about the humans." It was one of those apologies that was both small and sufficient. We didn't throw a parade, but we also didn't shut the door. I kept thinking about systems again. Not because I'm obsessed, but because they keep people from drifting into dumb choices. A good naming convention is a fence. A group chat is a torch. Clear credit is like a bed in Minecraft. When night falls, everyone knows where they're safe. For weeks after, anytime I worked on a project, I wrote the names first in the document header like a little oath. It made me calmer. It made the work feel communal and not like a race for crumbs. If you're listening while doing your own thing, editing a clip, organizing a chest, building a stoop, put names on it. Credit is cheap to give and expensive to lose. Alright, roll your shoulders. The next story is a quiet mystery with a soft landing. Let the music carry you like a boat on a blocky river where the moon sits perfectly square and the water keeps the secrets you're not ready to hold yet. Before we leave this hallway, one last detail. When the professor talked about fairness, he didn't shame anyone. He opened a Google Doc on the projector and asked the whole class to write a sentence about what credit means. The answers piled up in real time. Proof you were there. Respect with receipts. A map for people who want to find you later. I saved a screenshot and set it as my lock screen for a week. It reminded me that community isn't a vibe, it's a practice. And hey, small thing, I started including bloopers at the end of our edits. Not to embarrass anyone, but to make the file feel like a room we all lived in. It worked. People showed up more. They added better sound, better transitions, better jokes. Accountability has a twin called joy. When you invite one, the other tends to walk in too. Okay, clouds parted, stars on. Step with me into the next little world. No rush. We've got time. Bring snacks, bring patience, bring quiet curiosity. Fourth story starts with a cardboard box and ends with a porch light. My aunt sends me care packages sometimes, snacks, socks, instant coffee packets, a handwritten note that smells faintly like her laundry detergent. They arrive at random and always on time in some cosmic way. Midterms, box, post-breakup, box, rainy stretch where the sky seems to forget the recipe for blue, box. Then suddenly, they started not arriving. Aunt texted, "Did the ginger cookies make it, sweetheart?" No cookies here. "What about the hoodie?" No hoodie. We checked the tracking numbers, all said delivered. The porch camera showed the mail carrier dropping packages off, and then nothing. No mysterious figure, no raccoon, just packages appearing in one frame and being gone in the next, like a jump cut. I put a sticky note on the door that said, "Please leave packages behind the chair." I added a small bin with a lid. I even wrote a cute sign, "Happy porch, happy mail." The next box arrived. I raced home between classes and found the bin empty, lid on. The video showed the mail carrier putting the box inside, then a long, quiet stretch, then this is the weird part. The neighbor's cat sitting on the lid like a furry sentinel. The box disappeared anyway. I mentioned it to the neighbor, Mrs. Green, who wears garden gloves like a superhero. She frowned. "We've had kids playing ding-dong ditch. Maybe they've upgraded." She promised to keep an eye out. I felt silly asking the universe to protect snacks, but also those notes mattered. They felt like a hand on my shoulder that said, "Keep going." 2 days later, I came home and there was light spilling from my porch light even though I hadn't left it on. And there, on the stoop, sat my cousin Noah with a box in his lap and a face like wet cement. He stood up when he saw me and held the box out. "I'm sorry," he blurted. I didn't know what we were talking about yet, but my chest knew. Turns out, Noah had moved into the basement apartment 2 houses down after a messy roommate situation. He was keeping it quiet because he didn't want family to know he'd dropped out for a semester. He saw the packages arrive. He said at first he took one to keep it safe, planning to tell me, but then he opened it and found a note from my aunt and a scarf that looked like the ones our grandma used to knit. He put it on, he cried, he kept the box, then another, then another. I thought about telling you. I wanted to blow up. The porch light hummed. The cat leapt onto the railing and pretended not to listen. Noah looked small in the doorway, the way people look when they've spent too long inside their own shame. I sat down on the step because sitting makes angry words move slower. "You can't do that," I said. "You know you can't do that." He nodded, eyes glassy. "I know." We went inside. I made tea because that's what people in stories do when they can't fix the problem yet. He told me about leaving classes. He told me about sleeping through sunrises and waking up feeling like he'd missed a train he could still hear. He told me the packages felt like proof the universe wasn't indifferent. He told me he didn't know how to ask for that without stealing it. I called my aunt. We put her on speaker. She sighed, the kind of sigh that contains love and boundaries simultaneously. She said, "Noah, honey, I would have made you a box with your name on it." He cried harder at that than at anything else. We made a plan. From now on, boxes would go to a locker at the post office. Aunt would make one for Noah too, with different snacks because he's weird about raisins. Noah would pay me back for the hoodie and the scarf, slowly because dignity matters, but surely because that's how you use accountability to rebuild something thin. He brought back the scarf, tucked in a sealed bag. He replaced the hoodie with the same brand after 3 cafe shifts. He even wrote Aunt a letter and mailed it because some apologies shouldn't arrive as a text bubble. We also spoke to Mrs. Green and set up a little shared watch for the block. She laughed at our mail patrol name and brought lemonade. The kids who'd been doorbell dashing waved at us and stopped by to pet the cat. The porch felt safer because it was and because we were watching. Small habits become fences that breathe well. Later that week, the mail carrier knocked, just to say they'd noticed the boxes had stopped disappearing and hoped everything was okay. I said yes. I didn't explain. Not everything needs a public postmortem. Sometimes you keep a family thing in the family on purpose. At sunset, I turned the porch light on and sat with a cookie from Aunt's latest box and one from Noah's. Same recipe, different hands. The cat hopped up and watched the street. I thought about how betrayal can look like a thief in the night, or it can look like a cousin holding a box because he doesn't know how else to hold himself together. Both wound. One is fixable with a lock, the other needs a softer tool. If you're placing blocks right now, think about your front porch. What's the light that says welcome and what's the lock that says not this way? You can have both. You can keep your snacks and still pass the plate. Okay, deep breath. The next story has way less tea and way more awkward laughter, which is a different kind of medicine. Scoot your chair, tune your brain to gentle listen, and let's go. Fifth story. Family email chains are the final boss of communication. My grandmother passed 2 summers ago, leaving behind a little houseplant jungle and a will that was more about memories than money. She wrote letters to each of us, tiny time capsules tucked inside card envelopes with our names in her teeny cursive. The executor, my uncle, was supposed to mail them out with a few keepsakes tagged by sticky notes. Weeks went by. We got pictures from cousins holding a crocheted pot holder or a brooch. I kept checking our mailbox like it might whisper a spoiler. Nothing arrived. I texted my uncle gently. He replied with thumbs up emojis, and soon, then my mom got a call from Aunt Rose asking if I liked the fountain pen. We didn't know about any pen. Turns out my letter and the pen meant for me went to my cousin Evan, who posted a story of the pen with a caption like, "Thanks, Grandma," and tagged nobody because he is not a details person. Mom asked Uncle what happened. He said he must have mixed up labels. Okay, fine. People mix things. We asked Evan to drop it by. He said he had gotten used to it and that the ink flow was part of his routine now. My stomach learned a new way to fold itself. I wanted to go full caps lock. Instead, I called Evan and asked to trade. I'd bake him a pie. He could keep a different memento if the executor agreed. I just really wanted the pen and the letter because Grandma used to write me notes with a little ink smudge on the lower right corner. He said he'd think about it and then ghosted, which is a wild move for a pen he didn't even know existed 2 weeks prior. Mom and I drove over. We didn't do a confrontation on the lawn. We knocked like normal people. Evan opened the door slowly. Behind him, his apartment smelled like reheated noodles and laundry detergent. I said, "We can stand in the hall. I'm not here to fight." He crossed his arms the way people do when they want to seem taller. Uncle gave it to me. He said, "Why are you making it the thing?" Instead of arguing feelings versus facts, I asked if we could read our letters together. He frowned. I explained I didn't have mine, and maybe if we read Grandma's words side by side, we could figure out if she had meant the pen for me. Reluctantly, he got his envelope and slid the paper out, hands shaking just a little. The letter started with the usual soft jokes and then said, "Evan, the chess set is yours because I never beat you. Not once." He blinked. Chess set? He didn't have a chess set. He had my pen. He read on. "The fountain pen belongs to us because she always wrote me the longest notes. Please make sure she gets it." He stopped. The apartment got very quiet in a way even noodles can't perfusedly fix. He looked smaller. "I didn't know," he whispered. He held the pen like it had turned into glass. He handed it to me without a speech. We called Uncle from the hallway, put him on speaker and did not yell. We asked him to come over with the chess set and the remaining letters and sit with us while we sorted things out correctly. He arrived an hour later, flustered and apologetic. He was grieving too. He'd tried to do everything fast, so it would hurt less, and ended up making it hurt weird instead. We made a table map, envelopes to the left, items to the right, names in the middle. We checked Grandma's handwriting against each tag, because she drew little hearts on certain notes when she felt strongly. The chess set went to Evan. The pen came home with me. 2 other mix-ups got corrected quietly, and the big thing, bigger than any object, was reading those letters together out loud, like a bedtime story for a family that needed one. Later that night, I sat at my desk and wrote my aunt a thank you with the pen. It scratched the way familiar things do. Ink did its tiny river thing. I felt connected to the hands that had used it before. That's all inheritance ever is. The feeling that the people who taught you how to hold the world are still in the room while you practice. So if you're listening while mining or building or just letting your brain idle, here's your gentle reminder to write names clearly, slow down when it matters, and read the dang instructions the universe gives you, whether they're in a will, a group chat, or a sticky note on a Tupperware lid. And when you mess up, because you will, show up with your hands open, not your defenses raised. It turns chaos back into community. Okay, one last story. Soft edges, a small stage, and a playlist. Float with me, calm as a boat under stars made of squares and quiet. Before we left, Uncle said something I won't forget. Love isn't an economy, it's a library. You don't lose it by checking something out, you lose it by misfiling. It sounded corny and perfect at the same time. We agreed to meet in a month with photo albums and label things together while we weren't drowning. We set calendar reminders. We promised to keep talking even when it was inconvenient. Evan texted me later with a picture of the chess set up on his coffee table. "Come lose to me sometime," he wrote. I sent back a photo of a short paragraph in fresh ink and replied, "Anytime, rematch accepted." Tiny mended threads, nothing grand enough. And if you've got keepsakes piled in drawers, pick one, write a name, tell a story now, not later, so memory doesn't have to guess in the dark or alone. Final story, and it starts with a DJ who ghosted and a playlist saved by petty loving teamwork. My cousin Layla got married in a park pavilion with string lights that looked like captured comets. The plan was simple. Rent speakers, hand the DJ a playlist with vibes that went from ceremony soft to anti-turn-up, Then the DJ called the night before and said he had food poisoning. Chaos. I've got some audio gear, so I volunteered. We stacked speakers on milk crates, we taped cables down like we were defusing a glitter bomb. Layla texted me the playlist, old school bops, a few indie tracks, some family classics. But when I loaded the file, half the songs were missing, and the order was scrambled. At the top was a new note, play these instead. Trust me. It was signed with my other cousin's name, Sammy, who had, let's say, firm opinions. Layla read it and went pale. Sammy promised he'd help, she said. I didn't think he'd hijack it. We could have called him out. Instead, we did triage. I called Auntie to crowdsource missing tracks. I DM'd friends for clean versions. People airdropped songs like we were trading potions. We rebuilt the core list in under an hour. Sammy arrived late and saw me at the laptop. He puffed up. You're welcome, he said, gesturing at the USB drive he'd fixed. I kept my voice level. We're using Layla's list. He rolled his eyes. Mine's better. He had swapped slow dances for EDM drops and cut the song Layla's dad had taught her to waltz to. Layla's jaw set. I said, hey, this is her night. He muttered something about saving the vibe and drifted away. Ceremony happened. It was sweet. Wind did its leaf applause thing. We hit the first dance and the right song played, the one Layla wanted, the one with a line about building a life like a small house where the porch light's always on. People clapped. Sammy pouted, then came over with a new plan. Let me run requests. I'll keep it clean. I handed him a notepad. You can write them down. He scribbled like he was signing treaties. Meanwhile, I tucked Layla's must-plays into a locked section so they'd trigger on time no matter what. We coasted. Aunties danced. Kids slid on their socks like penguins. For a second, I forgot about sabotage and remembered joy. Then, during the father-daughter dance, the audio glitching started. The song looped the same 7 seconds like a stuck minecart. I looked at the file. It was fine. I looked at the cable. Fine. I looked at the notepad. Gone. I looked at Sammy. He was at my laptop, possessed by the spirit of bad ideas. He'd queued his playlist over the top of the current track to build energy. He'd also set it to crossfade aggressively, which is how you turn a tender moment into soup. I didn't yell. I gently pulled the fader down, stopped everything, and on the mic said, give us 10 seconds for the right song for the right people. The crowd laughed in that kind way. People laugh when you invite them to be patient. I loaded the correct file, pressed play, and stood between the laptop and any unauthorized hands like a bouncer who accepts vibes as ID. After the dance, Sammy came back ready to argue. I cut him off softly. This isn't about taste. It's about consent. He blinked. Consent? Yeah, I said. The couple chooses the soundtrack to their own story. Music isn't just background, it's memory glue. You don't get to edit that because you want to drop. Something in him deflated. He shoved his hands in his pockets and said, I thought I was helping. I said, you can, by grabbing water bottles and taking requests to the request list, not the laptop. He did. And a funny thing happened. He got good at it. He filtered out the chaotic asks and brought me the ones that fit. The dance floor stayed full. We hit every must-play. People who never danced, danced. Layla's dad nailed the waltz. At one point, Sammy leaned over and asked, can we try one of mine after September? I looked at the timeline. Yeah, I said, at 9:10. He grinned like a kid who'd been given a proper job and not a toy steering wheel. At the end of the night, Layla hugged me and said, you kept us on our track. Sammy lingered, kicked at a piece of tape, and then apologized. Not grand, just real. I wanted to make it perfect, he said. I didn't ask what perfect meant. We packed cables, we stacked chairs. The string lights looked tired in a good way. On the drive home, with the speakers rumbling in the back, I thought about Control dressed up as help. Sometimes folks who love you the loudest forget to love you the way you ask. The fix isn't exile, it's roles. Give people lanes, label the levers, protect the core, and if someone tries to DJ your life without consent, pause the track and reset the cue. If you're still with me, thanks for letting my voice ride alongside your mining or building or whatever gentle grind you're doing. Drop where you're watching from if you haven't yet. I'm genuinely curious. It's my favorite little community roll call. And if you liked these, there's more on the way. For now, breathe. Place one more torch, log off kindly, save and exit like someone who trusts tomorrow to keep showing up. And quick note for future you, make a playlist for your ordinary days. Label it Tuesday, but kinda. Fill it with songs that feel like open windows and counters. Music won't fix everything, but it will stitch a calmer seam through what you're carrying. When in doubt, default to the track that makes everyone sing badly. Collective off-key is undefeated. See you next time. Same chill, same cozy.